So I am a historian. Historians like to tell stories. We like to tell long-winded stories, like this opening. So for me, writing a 2-page statement about my research, it was like, are you kidding me? Like, you're joking, right? And, grad fund's like, no, like, you really have to do this in 2 pages. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home and cry a little bit. And then come back to this and figure it out. No. So the writing process, I think one of the things I had to learn is how to get straight to the point. And that forced me really to kind of synthesize what I'm doing, like my research, because we're taught to do the elevator conversation, which is usually 30 seconds. Well, that's even less for a Ford. So I definitely learned how to talk about my research in concise terms through the writing process, and really through talking about the research, right, which is central to the writing process. I gained clarity. I had a deeper, I think, better analysis, because what we put on the page isn't always what we have in our brain. I think I also learned to start early, just to get stuff on the page, and really figure out, okay, so what's really important? Because as a historian, everything is important. Like, you're going to learn about my sources. You're going to learn about how I came to these sources. You're going to learn about why I love this work so much. And the Ford is like, I'm good. Like, I only have like 2 pages. So figure out your life. So the writing process definitely helped me like figure out my life. And I guess in terms of tips, I would say, develop a plan. If you're at Rutgers, meet with grad fund. So first and foremost, develop a plan ahead of schedule. Have a hard and fast internal deadline for yourself. I think, for me, writing about the future, it was, what is my big dream in the pie, my big dream in the sky vision, and just kind of stream of consciousness writing that. And just saying, this isn't what they're going to see, but this is what I need to work through internally with myself. And then kind of go back in the revision process and meet with grad fund, talk to folks in your program, talk to your advisors. I think get as much feedback as possible. Yeah. Right? So, it makes the document better because because the Ford is interested in creating community, like the production of the application itself, right, comes out of this community. And so I think for me that was like a really important realization. Yeah.
I love that you ended on that point about community, because actually when I've been thinking about the Ford Fellowship and how I had to apply for it, there are 3 main groups that helped me, or that were part of my dissertation writing community. The institutional resource, first and foremost, was the grad fund. Probably was here quite a number of times, and getting feedback on how I can make sure I translate my key ideas in a way that's, I think you guys have written this before, clear, concise, and compelling, and to make sure that it's, that whatever I'm writing, I'm continuing that theme in every response, right? So my key ideas are coming up in each response, from my abstract to my statement of research, etc. And then the other main committee or community was my academic mentors, from my dissertation committee to academic mentors who are not even on my committee, but that I go to really think through my ideas and to make sure that my key ideas are still strong, that I'm still clear about what I'm trying to say. And then the last one is, of course I have to say this, like my buddies, my friends, because sometimes I got so caught up in my, because I really wanted a fellowship, I got so caught up that sometimes I got too close. And sometimes you need to step back, and you need to have your friends, you need to have somebody who you have no problem hearing from them. You gotta ease up, because you need to have different people who tell you different things. And I also had, I was also a graduate assistant this year at the Center for Race and Ethnicity, and they also provided feedback as well. So they were a part of the institutional resource that I took advantage of. But through that process, I realized I have to be comfortable hearing criticism from everybody. And you will get criticism even to the last final chapter, you know, you're like, look, I'm sending this in 2 minutes. Somebody's like, you need to, like, okay. And you need to learn how to filter sometimes too, because sometimes there will be feedback that you know you will not do because it, you know, is not true to your process and not true to your project. But for me, I think that was critical, was to making, I think I finally got the right configuration this year in terms of getting all my support networks together to make sure that I turned in the best product that I could.
For me, revision was key.
Yeah.
Start early, write multiple revisions, multiple drafts. Don't get attached to the early ones. You know, just let it out. You know, what is my story? What are the previous experiences that I think are most important? And as you continue to revise, then you start to get a little more attached because you strengthen your ideas. But I really cannot stress the importance of finding people, whether they're friends or academic mentors. In my case, they were more academic mentors who know you and who you trust, and they know you, have known you for a long time. You know, these are people that, you know, I showed members of my committee who I'm very close with, showed them drafts, and they were very clearly like, this isn't you. No, this is too dry. This is not who you are. We need some of that Carolyn fire in there. And, you know, because I'd given myself enough time, I was like, oh, come on, I already did so many drafts. But then I said, you know what, I trust you. You know who I am. You know who I am in the classroom. You know who I am at the more social events that my department might have. And so I believe you. If you think this is not representative of the full me, then I need to do more. If you think that I'm leaving something out, you've heard me talk about my project many times, I must be leaving something out of these tiny 2 pages, right? So it's that ability to trust the people who are providing this difficult feedback, but also, as you were saying, trusting yourself. Because there were definitely moments when I thought, yes, I will do this, but no, I can't take this out, or yes, I will, you know, eliminate this, but I need to put this back in, and so forth. So just having the amount of time to, first of all, cultivate the relationships well before you need them, right? So it wasn't just, I'm applying this year, can you read this? It's, well, I've been taking classes with you since my first year, so can you read this? You know what I'm talking about here. So yeah, that was very important for me.